Welcome back to the Berg Podcast. We're here. Ford and I have hijacked it again. So
As I say, as a host, that's a total different sound there. I was wondering what was going on.
yeah, it's a totally different sound. We don't have Brian. We don't have our normal ringleader who keeps us in line. So we decided we would go right off the rails right to start with. And our plan here is we're going to talk about it's getting to be Christmas season and people are getting their Christmas trees. Some of them already have them. Some of them have them up. So we figured we'd start out talking about that. It's not work related at all. So Ford, go ahead. Ford was long not a huge fan of Christmas trees.
Well, Christmas trees, they're beautiful. They're green. You know, there's some ones out front that I'm sure someday someone's going to probably steal when it's unfortunate. But no, Christmas trees to me, my wife has a bit of perfectionism to her, shockingly. And so we used to go to this place down in Coatesville area. And basically, the guy planted trees on the side of a hill that wasn't good for anything. You were there one time with us.
I was there with you one time.
Yeah, the guy served hot chocolate for everybody and
Hot
some
apple
beer
cider.
for people if they wanted it. But my wife would walk up and down the hill multiple times to find the magic tree. Now, once you put all the crap on in the tree, what difference does it make? But we'd see one at the top. I like this one, but I got to go back down and check the bottom. You'd walk up and down this hill like 5 times to find a Christmas tree that, guess what? Most Christmas trees look alike.
Yeah, see, I have a similar problem, but also a different problem, which Erin has not yet accepted that that the trees look much bigger inside than they do outside. So Erin would walk around and you know she likes to have a bigger Christmas tree, and so she has a Christmas tree that doesn't fit in my house. So last year, and I think you remember this last year.
Things always appear bigger. You know, what's that type saying?
Yeah, it's like the mirror. Things are larger than they appear or bigger in the mirror, whatever it is. But we had to physically cut all the branches off the tree and then cut it into pieces, and I threw it out the window.
Because you mean to get rid of it
because I couldn't even get rid of it. And so this year we tried to press a little bit more, and I tried to say, like, let's be reasonable about it. We looked around and there's like, I don't know if you know, but there's a supply chain shortage on everything. I don't know what COVID did, but even trees stopped growing.
Are trees from China too? I'm not sure.
I don't know. I don't know where these trees came from, but they're also short. So I had called and called a few places and they said, hey, we don't have big trees. I called Preston. And Preston said he had just cut some. And I said, okay, but Erin wants to cut the trees down ourselves. So the fact that for the same price.
Now, did you take the electric sawzall or did you go the old school by hand?
No, you got to use a handsaw. So we found a place local in like Warwick area. We went and it was nice. You ride out on the bumpy tractor. The girls like it. We go out there and luckily we stepped off the thing and we walked like 20 yards and the tree there was like 10
was
trees.
Was it glowing?
In a row. It was, I deemed it perfect. They said maybe, then they moved on to one other one. It was the first or second tree we looked at. We cut it down. We spent much longer in line getting hot chocolate than we did picking the tree. So that point of it worked out for me this year.
So you got 1 year out of X amount of years that magically happened. So you got to remember this story because otherwise it doesn't happen that way.
Because also last year it was pouring. This year I knew it was going to rain, and so we did it on the Saturday after Black Friday, whatever, Saturday after Thanksgiving.
After Thanksgiving.
And so we brought the tree home, and we were having more family over for Thanksgiving, and I thought I was just going to put it out back, but that never works. And so I brought the tree in and set it up, and it's the perfect tree. Like, it's the exactly right. They all told me that tree was too small, and we put it in the house, and it's perfect.
I've had experiences. Usually, most places in the old days, they charge you per foot for the tree. Like if it's 6 foot, it's X amount, 7 foot, whatever. And I've had experience where we paid for more footage and then brought it back and then had to cut some off because the sizing wasn't right. And you're like, we just donated a little extra money because once you get it in, you know, there's some roof thing because they always forget the stand. Like they think of the height and they forget the stand's there and the stand's a couple extra inches.
And the star.
And the star's got to go an extra.
Whatever you're
yeah, exactly. So they're like visualizing the space and the measurements just don't work. And then you shake your head. And then we had the experience too. We put lights on. That's the one thing I help with because the rest of it's above my pay grade. And one of the rings of lights was not the same color. Like not saying one was blue and white, but we're saying like the white wasn't the same white. It was a little bit more, I don't know, earth tone or, you know, natural light versus red. We had to take them off and put them back on because they didn't match.
Well, see, so we're the reverse. I won't touch those lights. I did get Erin to convert. So when Erin and I got married, you know, part of the negotiation was what would we do with the Christmas tree?
That was almost more important than, you know, saying I do.
Yeah. Being from where I was from, you have a white Christmas tree. If you have colored lights on your Christmas tree in your house, it's like Eat It Joe's. Like we just wouldn't do it growing up. Erin wanted colored lights and she likes the bigger bulbs. So we ended up with the bigger colored bulbs. She says it was a negotiation where we ended up there, but that's what she wanted. So I guess it could be a negotiation that I just lost. But
One-sided negotiation.
I don't
thought
lose.
negotiation means in the middle somewhere.
I don't
So you didn't
lose
get the right size bulbs, and you didn't get the colors, the white that you wanted. So that's a lose-lose.
She would say that I got the size bulbs I wanted, but it was the size she wanted. I just didn't want small ones. So I said, like, I absolutely will not have those like little tiny colored bulbs. So, but she also has this thing about you got to go in and out and in and out, and it's got to be like, perfect. So the lights have to be perfect. The ornaments, who cares? Which makes no sense to me, because the ornaments are what bother me. Like the lights, once you put them on a tree, like I feel like unless you like run them in a straight line,
Yeah.
Once you turn them on and put ornaments, they all look about the same to me. Erin doesn't agree. So she puts all the lights on, and she put too many on the bottom, she deemed. And so if she had one more set, it would have been too many. So she took all the lights back off the tree again.
Oh, the whole thing, not just that one area.
Yeah. And then put them back on so they were right. And then she was like, okay, now we're going to decorate the tree. And so the girls start hanging ornaments. And she said that I shouldn't be, I forget the term she used. None of them are like politically correct, but it's that I am too harsh about it on the girls and I make it no fun for them, because you can't just throw ornaments at the tree. They were hanging ornaments on ornaments. Like they were hanging an ornament. Mara we have like different ones. Each year the girls pick out an ornament each from wherever we get the tree. So we have way too many ornaments in my mind. So we have one that is a chairlift from Mad River Glen that we like to ski at. And Mara hung a Santa that was sitting on the chairlift. She thought it was great. So then Charlotte hung like 3 of her ornaments all on top, hanging from the other ornament. I was like,
the weight rating is wrong.
And I was like, this looks terrible, girls. Like, what are you doing? Like, are you doing this to me on purpose? Like, just spread the ornaments. And they're only where they can reach. And then they use a ladder, but it's only in the spot where the ladder is. And so, but I just let it go. And then once they weren't paying attention, I rearranged all their ornaments. And then they came back and they said I moved all their ornaments. Charlotte also commandeered the middle of the tree, because she said all of her presents should be in the center of the tree so she can see them and she knows they're hers, because she has a big letter C. So the letter C was in the middle of the tree and everybody else was told to put their letters off to the side somewhere. That was Charlotte's space. So then I rearranged the letters, and that caused chaos and upset with the girls. So I can't believe it's as big an ordeal as it is to put up a Christmas tree.
Well, I said the only 2 times I've almost gotten divorced, and this is even before I was married, was moving and Christmas trees. Those are the 2 things right there. Other than that, life's pretty good. But we also have, Tamara broke down. It's a little bit of a secret, but she does have one fake tree in the house. So we have to have more than one tree. So that's its own challenge, right?
We've held to one tree.
Well, she wants 3. We have 1 real, 1 fake. So we're getting closer to, that negotiation where you don't win any of them. That's kind of where I'm at there. But so this tree's a fake one, and it has multiple different things with it, because the LEDs you can do crazy stuff with. So Savannah likes turning it. Now, Tamara likes just white lights on the tree, very simple. But this thing has that like switch where you can change them all the time, and she changed them to blinking multicolor. And the faces that you see from when, because you're letting a little 2-year-old trying to understand and learn things, but at the same time, mom have to go back over there and like, it's like this little like internal struggle already at a 2 and mom, because she's like changing it to the blinking multi-lights and then comes back later and it's magically turned back to the lights that were supposed to be there.
So is this in the foyer?
Yes.
Because so we had more truck issues. I am very fond of Yukons, and I really like my Yukon.
We've had good success up until now.
Up until now, we've had good success. This one we have some issues with. It fixed itself, by the way.
Magically,
it fixed itself. So it's just going to break on me again later. But when we had to switch trucks, and I went and you let me use your truck for a day or 2 days, and when I picked it up, I could have sworn that had multicolored lights, and I was like, "That's odd, multicolored lights." But I didn't say anything because, like, you got kids. If you want to use I got multicolored lights. I can't say anything anymore.
That was a wife discussion, though, not to the kids. But
yeah.
No. So yeah, there's this little like nonverbal struggle going on, because like if Tamara walks by it, she'll change it back, and then Savannah will notice it, she'll change it back the other way, and it's hysterical because it's interesting. We have 4 totes or 5 totes now. I think every year Christmas stuff grows. I don't know if it like expands. It's like but we have totes we have to haul in, and you decorate everything, and then you take them back out. And I don't really mind the decorating part, but I have a timeline on the back end. Like once Christmas is over, there's only so many weeks, because I don't really want to be July 4th and still seeing Christmas stuff around. It's for a season, but it grows, and then we have to haul this stuff back out, and stuff's getting rearranged. Everything that's under like 3 foot high keeps getting rearranged.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So Erin, one of her favorite things when we lived in the HOA was that Christmas lights had to be down, I think, January 15th.
Okay, so she has that date too.
Loved it. Erin wants that. She wants her Christmas tree up right after Thanksgiving, and she's going to enjoy it. She's also going to put Christmas music on in her car from now until they turn it off.
What's that channel? There's like that channel that changes, like it's like
Yeah.
soft melody. All of a sudden changes to
Whatever,
Christmas.
it's 100
Yeah.
something point something.
Whenever I'm at the dentist office over the holidays, you hear that same
And they
8
love it.
songs.
The girls in her love it, and I'm like, come on now, like I can't listen to Christmas carols for 3 months.
What's your favorite Christmas song?
I like that song that's now supposed to be like, I think it's not appropriate anymore, about the one about, the weather, like it's hot outside, it's too cold outside, you shouldn't go home. The girl's at the guy's house and she shouldn't go home. He makes all the excuses. I can't remember the melody right now. But
see, for me, I'm more the humor style. So like the Adam Sandler,
that is a good one, the Hanukkah song.
the Hanukkah song, just because it's like kind of more, because unfortunately with Christmas music, there hasn't been a lot of updated ones.
No.
They just re-sing the same songs. There hasn't been new writing,
Yeah.
but that's kind of something different. So,
Yeah, you caught me off guard. It's the Baby It's Cold Outside, that one.
oh yes,
That one, which now they say is, and I can mildly see it, that he's trying to convince the girl to stay. I get it, but I feel like we've gone a little too far with the cancel culture. But we're trying to have a Christmas discussion. Let's not go politics.
I mean, they're probably going to title this "The Grinch That Stole the Tree," but I'm just
I
saying.
don't know what Brian's gonna say about this, but yeah, it's the Christmas tree thing is funny, and then the girls, Mara this year. So, do you do an advent calendar at all?
We've been looking at it, but haven't tackled that yet.
Okay. So we have an advent calendar that's probably like, it's print sized. It's like 36 by 48, and it's fabric and has pockets. And Erin puts all kinds of stuff in there. And it's not mostly like toys. It's like make cookies, and it has like the recipe and maybe sprinkles that are special to it. It's something, it's always for them to do something, or like a little. They painted.
So it's educational.
They painted nutcrackers. At which point, Erin said she doesn't understand how our kids can be so bad at art. I showed her me painting, and I think we figured it out.
More abstract, you'd say?
Yeah, I don't know. It's something. Mara and I were laughing about it. We're all over the place. Mara and I were laughing about it, and I said, like, Mara, you're not that bad at art. She said, the other day I drew a picture, and the teacher said, that's a great bird, and she said, that's a snowman. I said, all right, well, that happens to me in art. Like, I can't draw things. But so we have the advent calendar, but Mara decided she was going to make her own advent calendar from scratch. So Mara took big cardboard, and then she took empty toilet paper rolls and glued them or taped them to the calendar, and then filled them with things that she bought their sisters herself, and then put like tissue paper over the top of it and wrote the date. So now the girls have 2 advent calendars. Mara seems more excited by being a part of it. I think, Mara's 10, so she's
Getting to understand it a little bit better.
A little bit better. Remember, she is the one that wanted to do, she wanted to use forensic accounting to determine, the validity of Santa. I don't know if you remember that. I don't know if we talked about it, but she wanted to see my bank account and see my bank account over a period of 3 months. And she was only like 7 or 8 when she told me that.
Gladly show it to her now. I mean, that's
now I could show it to her. There's going to be some schooling in soccer that I'm going to have to, she's going to feel bad about.
That team you played for, that New Jersey you got, they're going to start making up Christmas presents or something, right?
I feel like I donate to a lot of causes. So they do. So you are you're making your way to the ad. How about the Elf on a Shelf thing?
No, so far we refused that operation.
Yeah, so we don't do that. We have one, and somebody got it for us, and I let Mara play with it one year, and then Erin said we had to start putting it everywhere, and I didn't want to do that. And Erin said, "What are you going to do now?" So I said, "Guys, this is fake. Like, everybody just moves this elf around. Like, I'm not participating. If you want to play with this little elf, you can." So Mara has the elf, but they know that.
Well, see, with my background, we were raised that there's no Santa Claus. There's none of that stuff because this is Jesus' birthday, not for
right. It's not a party.
Not for a party, not for all this stuff and all the things. And so, we're having to understand that. There's all those things that you don't really think about in life until you have to like try and figure out how you're going to do it to the next generation per se. And all of a sudden you're like, like on one side you're like, it's harmless. It doesn't really matter. Then both my grandfathers were preachers, and so to them, like, that was a sacrilege because you're taking anything away from the focus of what it's supposed to be for. And so we haven't got that far, thankfully, because we're just at this point we're just rearranging stuff and changing light colors. We haven't got to the real heavy hitters things yet.
So, and I'll give you this perspective from me as we have like a dad discussion, but we both have girls. Have a dad discussion here. Is what you got to watch is when the girls were young, we did like magical things. Like the one year we did the basement, and they got we finished the whole basement, and it was a playroom for them, and it's pretty extravagant, and it had a house in it and everything else, and they thought that Santa brought it. And we did various things that way through the years. And now, not only do I have to one-up it, but everything we do that is great, someone else gets credit for. Like, you don't think about it.
Easter Bunny gets some stuff.
And yeah, so this is one. So the girls won't listen to this, but so Charlotte had asked if she could go to a concert. We're talking September, and Charlotte makes a tremendous list, which is very long because her birthday is in January 7th, and so she makes you a list that if she doesn't get it for Christmas, if Santa doesn't bring it, then you already know what she needs. So that's real nice of her.
Catch all.
Yeah, and it's not a short list, and it's very specific. And one of the things she said is, could Santa bring tickets? And we were like, I guess, sure. And so she said, well, I want Taylor Swift tickets. Now, Taylor Swift wasn't.
You mean like the 5G tickets that's like all over the news?
Taylor Swift didn't have a tour yet when she asked for it. So we were like, well, Erin and I, I don't know what we're going to do. Like, she's not on tour. As it worked out, she was on tour. Erin sat on that hold and got tickets. So we got at face value tickets. Now, we should have bought one extra because I could have sold it and paid for all my tickets.
I mean, I think you could pay for all of Santa's things if you sell those tickets right now.
If I sold all those tickets, we could go skiing. But it's one of those things that's really funny. It's a perfect example. Like I think they're going to be from Santa, and it's kind of frustrating because first she's not going to appreciate how hard it is to get these tickets. I mean, Erin sat online and like messed with that system for 10 hours to be able to get those tickets, and it's just going to be like some a jolly guy in a red suit. It was just snapped his fingers and they showed up, and it's so from that like standpoint, it takes away a little bit, I think, in hindsight. But then you're down the road, and I don't want to.
Yeah, well, until you get to that point where you're like, it's all fake when you're like frustrated. But I mean, the parents have a challenging thing of that in general. You could just see like how different ones do things and how some of them they talk and like everything is magical, and then other people. And then at some point, I guess the bubble gets burst. But we're not at the point we have to worry about that just yet.
Charlotte, what did Charlotte say to me the other day? She was talking about it, and she said, well, if Santa, Charlotte's very analytical, and she said, if Santa isn't real, you have to tell me at some point, because I'm going to have kids when I get married. And when I get married, if there's no Santa and you don't tell me, my kids will be the only ones with no presents. So you have to tell me. And I was like, got me there. I was like, well, I don't know, Charlotte, I guess we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But I mean, you get presents every year, right? And I was like, and I don't think I buy them, do I? But,
no, actually I don't, because Mom does.
Yeah, actually that's I can be honest there, because Erin does a lot of things. So
well, my 2-year-old knows Amma, and it's not Emma, it's Amma for Amazon, because she knows when the truck comes in, because that's who really buys all the presents. Because the amount of boxes right now we're trying to get rid of, because we also we tried to sponsor a family and be able to like help out with somebody, because we did like last year with that Anchor Ministries, and we were like putting the presents for them into a thing, and this was like, is that for me? It's like, me? It's like, no, they're not for you. And she, trying to get him to understand something at 2 years old is, standing quicksand, but it's just trying to get the mental part there for him to try and understand what's going on.
Yeah, and that's I mean, you just brought it up just ever so slightly, but I mean, do we want to cover that at all? I mean, the Anchored thing it's a really good opportunity. I mean, you are a great example, role model in terms of doing some of those things. And as we're saying that, apparently I'm getting a bunch of packages because my Alexa is now buzzing and turning yellow, which means Amazon showed up at my house again. But so do you want to just talk about Anchored a little bit, just for a second, about what this is, what they sort of do, and how it impacts you?
Yeah, so we did it last year here at the company. We might get to do it this year. I know the time's running down. It's amazing how days fly at this point in the game. But reality is that Anchor Ministry goes to the local community. And for people that have needs, they put out pieces of paper for them, for their children, and they make like a little wish list of things, kind of like your daughter does. They're not quite as in detail, so sometimes you have to read between the lines. But then we have a family of 5, so we have 5 children, and we try and find something for each one of them, so that way they'll have Christmas presents if their parents are struggling and can't get that done. And then Anchored brings it all together, and then they have one day. Last year, we actually got to go help out Brad and Tracy, and I think Kelsey joined us. And we're able to help them. Then the family member gets to actually get the item, and they wrap it there, and then they take it home for their family. Yeah,
I thought that was really a interesting and amazing thing. When we were doing it last year, and I said like, "Hey, could I bring the girls?" Because I believe we have to figure out a way for my girls to be more in touch with the reality that they are very fortunate. And I thought, like this would be a good opportunity to know that there's people that are not as fortunate as them and help, but I talked to you about it, and you were like, well, their whole purpose is they don't want it to feel like a charity. They want it to, like, the people get to wrap their own presents so that, so that it's their piece, because that's really hard. I mean, when you're struggling, it's hard to struggle, but it's also hard. People don't want to take a handout. You know what I mean? They don't want to just say like, oh yeah, that, you know what I mean? And so that was really interesting that they considered that in the process, and we're talking about Anchored. And one of the things you and I talked about before we started was sort of how we've grown as a company and how things have changed, and trying to recognize people and really identify the people that are driving us forward, that are making us better every day, every hour, every year. And maybe we want to just close out, just talk about that a little bit with some of the people on our team who have really stepped up and taken on additional roles and additional responsibilities, and enabled us to be able to do a better job, and sometimes do more, but more so do a better job and focus on some of our responsibilities that you or Brian or I end up doing as a secondary piece, and it doesn't get the attention it should because we don't have enough time to do it. So maybe that's something we touch on real fast. We don't really have a list in front of us, but we got an idea.
Well, no, and I think actually maybe we're going to spend another time because we really want to spend some time on it. But I think part of the reality is that we want to explain, as we've grown, we've added more team members. And so a lot of them come from the outside and some of them already have skill sets. But the one neat part is that some of the people that we're talking about have like grown up here with the business. They've matured. Their skill set has gotten more breadth to it, more experience, and they've actually been able to, they always talk about the internal versus external promotions. And, we've actually been able to see some successes of people that have actually started at one position, shown that they had the expertise at that, and then able to move up. And it's really probably one of the highlights that you think about, that those people have been able to expand their expertise and get to new positions by their hard work. And, Thanksgiving, but it's a thankful season between Christmas and Thanksgiving. And that's just something we want to kind of mention out there, as we were joking about Christmas trees. But the reality is that, Christmas trees grow and so do people. And we've been able to actually like see people, move up and take on new responsibilities and take on new authority over this last year.
Yeah, no, it has been really rewarding, to see, and a couple people come to mind. And like you said, maybe we devote a whole podcast to it and talk about it, so I won't go down that road. But there's a couple guys that I really, and girls in this company, that I really think about it, and where they were when they started, and it really gives you hope, because we spend so much time worrying and concerning ourselves about the next generation, and do they have the work ethic, and do they have this, and I think both you and I have talked about it before. I'm just so tired of that discussion. Like, my dad had that discussion about me, and his dad had it about him. You know what I mean? And like, you just keep going back. They've all had the same discussion, because you're 18 years old, you're 25 years old, you're not 40 years old. You don't have the same responsibilities, same expectation, the same knowledge, so, but every time we forget. And then you get to be old like me. And then you look back and you start to say like, well, it wasn't like it was when I was. But then, every once in a while I get brought back down by like, either my mom or, one of my siblings. And I remember, little things, and sort of, we can, it's definitely not going to tie it up because it's not around. But one of the funniest stories of my dad passed away a couple years ago. And he always wanted me to help him work on the cars, because you used to actually be able to work on your car. Now it's a computer that none of us understand. And he wanted me to help him do brakes or something. He probably didn't. He might have had the lug nuts off, and I was already disinterested. Like 12 years old, 10 years old. I'm not sitting here watching this. How many of these are we going to do? We got to do 4 sets. We got to do 4 brakes on this car. You don't even have one wheel off it. And so eventually, he was fixing something one time, and he had me grab the coil wire, and that's a bad idea. And it was about as hard as I ever saw my dad laugh, because and now, like, I sort of, in a messed up way, get it. Like, he was just so tired of me not listening and not helping him, that he just, out of just like a sick my dad's sense of humor, he had me grab the coil wire. It was electrifying. I felt it. I know not to do that. I'll never grab a coil wire again. But that's the kid he was talking to, and now I'm the one saying like, the next generation really, you know what I mean? Like, it's so crazy that you forget that quickly.
Well, I've told this story now about 4 times around here, but the other week we watched the show Amazing Race, and they were putting together a Ducati motorcycle. And the one young person was putting it together, and they didn't even know how, on a ratchet, how to change it from tighten to loosen, which isn't the proper term, right? But they didn't even know what that, like, they couldn't figure that out. And like, some people that assume that's base knowledge, it's not anymore. Your dad did the car thing. You don't do the car thing. Each of us carry down a little bit different set of skills. And so, I think there's hope in every generation. It's just that sometimes it's different. So that's why it creates challenge for people.
Yeah, no, for sure. So we've been all over the place here. We covered a fair amount, but I mean, I think, I think there's some commonality to what we're talking about. I appreciate everything everybody did. Anytime we're between Thanksgiving and Christmas, I feel like we just want to, it makes us do the thing we should do the rest of the year and just say thank you and recognize the people out there and everything they do in their efforts. And that's where I am. So.
Yep. Until next time.
All right. So let's wrap it up. Thanks for listening, everybody. Hopefully you listen again, and hopefully it's not a nightmare with Ford and I in control of the podcast. Thanks.